You're... Hey guys, it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. It is our favorite day here at the Connected. We are so very excited to just continue to bring you news and resources you can actually use. I'm your girl, Tori Rose, and I have the honor of being with my favorite co host and cousin.
Kiana B.
Hey, honey, how's it going?
Girl, I be caffeinated
I
today.
love that.
I had a caramel. I still got some of it, and it's a venti macchiato. I got a lot of stuff. I had a lot of stuff to do. I just figured I'd go ahead and get the big one.
Oh yeah, well we want to give a shout out to Starbucks because they have all of these venti macchiato, white chocolate macchiato, caramel macchiatos, all these different drinks that are trending on TikTok and on Twitter this week. So they actually broke some Starbucks record with the different orders. So people are like telling you what to order, and so it's just very interesting to see how we know social media shapes our culture, but it also shapes
Hmm.
our marketing, our decision making, and obviously our levels of caffeine and caffeine.
Yes, because honey. So I forgot my fan. So if y'all just see me take my notepad.
So,
Oh
guys,
my goodness.
been talking about relationships for the last few weeks. I mean, just different types of relationships. We had an amazing guest last week. Senator Barbara Robinson was with us, and she talked about balance and family and God. And she reminded us of some things that were so important, like just do it.
Like be like Mike. Be like Mike and Nike. I said be
Right?
like Mike and Nike.
Be like,
Okay.
be like Ike and be Ye. So we're gonna be like all of them, and we're gonna I just want to give a shout out to all of the women who have been embracing each other. This is Women's History Month. And so I see the women are doing some big, big things. We have women in our network who are doing some amazing things. I want to give a shout out to Henna the B. Gant and Reggie. I always want to say Reggie B. Gant too. Like,
Don't do that to my brother. He like she took my name.
he,
Okay.
right. Such a supporter, great dad, friend, brother, father. But I always want to give him his wife's like middle initial or something. But and Reggie, but Henna more so because it's Women's History Month. I saw that she and her church and Pastor Vashti and some other amazing ladies, Dr. Constance. They're rolling out an adolescence like virtual conference in the month of March. So if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you're like, what is she talking about? Go over to Henna the B Gant. You can look her up on Instagram. I think she's Henny B Speaks on Instagram and Henna the B Gant on Facebook, and check out the flyer. Like she has a lot of good stuff that's happening. She also is an HR partner. So she got some things
Mhm.
coming out with the HR, getting yourself ready to pivot. I'm gonna go ahead and drop my own shameless plug. If you have not yet filled out your intake form, please do so because listen, y'all might have missed the video. February 2022, 600,000 new jobs were dropped in our United States economy. There's no reason that you're not working where you want to work, having the job you want to
Mhm.
have, living the life you want to live, doing the things you deserve to do. So let's have that conversation. Go over to Tori Rose the connector to my Instagram, click on the intake form. It takes less than 5 minutes to fill out and get yourself in one of these programs and go ahead and go from surviving to thriving. I feel like you deserve it. I don't know about you, but I know I deserve
I do thrive, and not just off the caramel macchiatos. Okay, because I am thriving off the caramel macchiato
it.
right
Well, and you look cute too. You know, caffeine has its natural properties. There's some good things
now.
about it. I had oral surgery earlier, well, last week, late last week, and I'm telling you, I was caffeinated for the first time yesterday. I'm still living off of that caffeine, so there's some benefits. So just be wise how y'all caffeinate. I know we always want to give a shout out to our media partners. So
Yes. So we want to give a shout out to Mr. Diamond K over at Radio on Fire television, and he has a lot of new things going on. I was scrolling through YouTube, just doing some of our stuff and sharing, and seeing just some of the other shows on the platform over there popping up on YouTube, and the videos and all of that stuff. I was like, he's just really talented in media, and he's been in the industry for a long, 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 long time.
Yeah.
And so we want to give a shout out, and make sure you go over and follow Radio on Fire television, Radio on Fire radio, Radio on Fire radio, television, all media he does. And so, yeah, make sure you follow it. And you can also catch the Connected Corner on the Radio on Fire platform as well.
Love him. It's so funny when I think back. I'm like, he was 18 or 19 when he was doing this, like the club mixes, all of that stuff. And he's, where his age is between ours, right? So he's a peer. And it's like, how have you been doing this stuff for 20 years? And so I just love to see people who are walking in their passion and thriving and doing the darn thing. I want to give a shout out to the class of 2002, Western High School. I'm just shameless plug-in tonight.
We're just shameless. We're going to take some personal privileges tonight, y'all. It's Women's History Month, and we are a part of women's history here.
Most certainly. We make every day. And not to belittle and not to steal time from our guests, because we have an amazing guest tonight. So if y'all not watching and tuned all the way in, go ahead, start tagging people. We're talking about domestic violence. We're talking about relationships. Make sure you are sharing. Make sure you hit the repost. Make sure you're following us and subscribed on YouTube and all of that. But this is our 20th year anniversary. So when I said 20, wow, I've been out of high school for 20 years. And so shout out to the class. I know. And as we prepare for our 20th anniversary, 20th reunion, which is going to be October 1st. We are excited. Things are buzzing, but we had ladies like take off of work last Wednesday, 2 Wednesdays ago, go to the school, mentor our Dovely young sisters,
have some our baby doves.
The Dove Lovies. Oh, and they're so adorable. I had the honor of teaching there before COVID. So that was like, one of my checklists. Like, I just always wanted to teach at Western, and so I had an honor to go back under the leadership of Michelle White and teach.
Class of 93. No, I'm sorry.
Whoop, whoop. I threw something. And what I will say is this, what I'm learning more and more, it's not what we do in this world. It really isn't. Like, we could read about these people, we read about people 100, 200, 300 years ago. They were here, they're now dead and gone on. But it's who you impact that really makes a difference. And you think about, like, we all have so much to impact. So if you guys are tuning in, if you watch the show on the replay, write the word impact and really think about, like, who am I impacting? Have I been nice to someone today? Did I smile for someone today? I've shared about, some of my flexibilities and freedom, even as a business owner, entrepreneur. I had like a random couple from Philadelphia buy me breakfast this morning. And you'd be like, oh my gosh, it's such a small thing. Now, I was fully prepared to buy my own breakfast. I could afford it. It had nothing to do with it. The nicety and their gesture will stick with me for a lifetime. So impacted somebody, write the word impact, and then be intentional throughout the rest of March. Impact somebody. All right, I got 2 more things, and then we're going to call out guys.
Go ahead.
Plus, I couldn't talk for 4 days, so I feel pent up.
Oh yeah, y'all. Yeah, right. She gotta let it all out, y'all. This is Tori Rose, the connector, honey.
Let it all out. So yesterday was Pi.
Teacher, trainer. She ain't talked for 2 days, so y'all about to get it all tonight.
Pi Day was yesterday, so 3.14 with the infinite number of numbers. So Pi Day, shout out to every math lover or numbers lover. So yesterday was Pi Day, and then today is the Ides of March. So any of our literary geniuses and English majors, history majors who love Shakespeare, et tu, Brute. This was the day that Julius Caesar was killed by his best friend. It was March 15th. So there's some history there. We have St. Patrick's Day coming up on the 17th. Whoop, whoop. I'm filled with like all these Snapple facts. And so, that's all I got, I think. I reserve the right.
Sure? You sure?
I reserved to come back with one more. So listen, we talked about relationships. We talked about dating. We talked about basically getting on the paddle, getting off in these relationships. We talked about having balance. We talked about just doing it. We've talked about being in love with thyself, doing right by yourself. Tonight is time to talk about something a little heavier. So I had to start with some of the feel good stuff because it's a tough topic.
Mhm.
Talk about being in relationships. We talk about feeling domesticated. We talk about domestic violence. And we're going to get into it tonight with a woman who is so powerful, so amazing, and she is making an impact. Key, can you go ahead, say what you got to say, and bring on our guest?
Yeah, so we are excited. Make sure you guys hit the share button, hit the like button. Let your ladies, your people, men, women, let them know what we're talking about tonight. We know that we have some other people in our network and circle who are advocates for domestic violence. Women at a stand. Our sister podcaster, as well as her organization, Women as a Stand, is Women's History Month. But we want to delve into the topic and go a little deeper with you guys tonight. And so, again, keeping the relationship series going on. But Tori forgot to mention she shouted her class out, and shout out to class of how old are you? What is it? 20? I always can't, y'all 2022. Yes, it's okay, never mind. 2002. I said I get confused. I be telling people, I graduated in 2013. No, 2003. Oh no, that's not it. I graduated in 93. The threes, it tripped me out. I can't believe I'm that old. So I don't know. I be saying 2003 sometimes. Plus, I hang around y'all so much, that the classes of 2000s. But giving a shout out to all of our Western doves. So we know it's COVID and all of that, but this, Women's History Month for us is also Unity Month for Western. So for those who don't know, Western High School in Baltimore, Maryland is the oldest all-girls public school in the nation.
And
In the nation.
what you know about it.
Yes. So shout out and dove love to all our Western sisters and dovelies out there. This is still Unity Month, so go ahead and continue to flood the timelines, okay, ladies. And then today also, Change My Life for Women's History Month. I want to give a shout out and say happy Sigma-versary to Infinite Royalty, Spring 14 of the illustrious Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. I won't make the sound all that for y'all, but I want to give a shout out to my line sisters, Spring 14. And yes, we are Infinite Royalty. Okay. And so, yeah, my name, I'm Royal Rebirth, which is interesting because I'm about to go on a journey and rebirth myself again very soon here. Okay.
I love it.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I love y'all sorority, even though, I don't ever foresee me wearing blue and gold or being a poodle. And I never say never. I don't foresee it, but I just love you all. And I will say that I appreciate being an honorary one of y'all. Like anytime I'm around, they just be like, come on, girl. It's all love. And I can't say that has been the same in other sorority circles. And so you guys really do exude sisterhood, and you've been an example of what to look for in a sorority for me. So thank you for that. I know. And I'm also sad we're not having an actual Unity Day at Western this year. Guys, what Kiana is saying is we can still unify. And so please that you are on each other and loving on sisters and supporting one another, because at the end of the day, we are all we have, like, honestly.
Yes. And shout out to, hey, Erica Kalisa, my line sisters. Erica Kalisa is joining us tonight. Thank you, ladies. Woo-hoo. Yeah, so we just definitely, again, this is Women's History Month, and we're going to take our privilege, okay, here to make sure that we are definitely shouting out those who are part of history. But one of the things, again, we want to continue with this relationship series because, we have sister relationships. We have all of this, right? We want to bond. We want to unify. But there are times that we got to really come out. We got to support, right? And support in a different way. And so we're going to talk about, again, navigating trauma and things in domestic relationships with domestic violence. And so, it could be a little heavy topic, but we want to dive in. We have a great guest tonight. And without any further ado, so we're going to have Miss Crystal Johnson with us tonight. And you guys are just be in store, okay? Is a professional counselor who holds a master's degree in clinical counseling with a concentration in trauma studies. So her concentration in trauma studies. So y'all understand the topic tonight, okay? So we want to bring you the experts here. Over her 10 plus years as a dedicated provider working with individuals, groups, families, Crystal has garnered numerous awards and certifications in domestic abuse, suicide prevention, grief, and loss. Her passion is working with women, youth, and individuals impacted by domestic violence. And so, without further ado, we want to bring forth and give a connected corner welcome. Put your hands together for Miss Crystal Johnson. Hey.
Okay, Crystal.
Hey.
You're cracking up. I'm like, they are so funny.
Yeah. I might say that though. We don't need to be trying to be funny though. I don't know.
It's all good though.
We should take this show on the road. We should get to make it a comedy act.
You'll do well, I'm sure.
Y'all making my cheeks hurt. Just
all right, yeah.
Off stage.
Look, she just started talking today again.
Oh, yeah, we can't make you laugh too much.
It's funny, but welcome, Crystal. Tell us all about
you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no worries. Anything that, we know bios. I get so shy when people read my bio. I'm like, oh, just tell us something maybe that wasn't in your bio that you would like to share with us today.
Something that wasn't in my bio. I love people. I just love empowering people. And yes, that is my career. I went to school to be a counselor, a therapist, but I'm Crystal. And that's what I like to, exude to people. Just like I'm a normal girl, a normal woman, right? I just want to make sure that everyone is living their best life, their best self, right? So people get intimidated when you tell them like what you do, who you are. And I'm just like, that's just my career, right? But it's not who I am. It's so much more to me than a therapist. It's a great thing, but it's so much more to me than that. So I just like to be represented as Crystal.
Because they think you're going to psychoanalyze them when you tell me.
Yes. What do you do for a living? I'm like, oh, I'm a helper. I like helping people.
And most time it's the people who are the least qualified who are doing all the psychoanalyzing. You'd be like, Aunt Myrtle, stop. You'd be like glass houses, right? Yeah. But what I've experienced with you, and I think this may be the third time I've gotten to talk to you, you are so open and so free to talk to. So I'm excited about today's show. Anybody listening, guys, check out Crystal. We're going to share her email address and her phone number and opportunities for you to get connected to her. She really is like the most chill. My therapist is amazing, but she was a little intimidating when I first met her. She was asking me some questions. I was like, and she's like, I'm trying to get to know you. Oh, my bad. You're not like that at all. You have just this sweet bedside manner. So I want to ask question. We're going to just jump right into it. Many people think that there's only physical abuse, right? Mm-hmm. So I've shared my story. Kiana has shared parts of her story. We both have dealt with abusive relationships in our past. And I talk about mine, especially during Child Abuse Awareness Month, because I was abused by a parent for years, CPS, all of that. But what are the other types of abuse that people may not always recognize as abuse? Can you walk us through? Is it more than just physical abuse?
Yeah, definitely. So when you mention domestic violence, everybody automatically goes to physical, right? But you have financial abuse. And I've noticed that's in communities of that are, these are moms, stay-at-home moms, right? And the providers may be doctors and lawyers and, judges and stuff like that. So that type of abuse is, what we may think is simple as not paying for summer camp, right? And we're looking at that like, is that a thing? But it really is, right? You have emotional abuse. And that's where people that's where the intimidation comes in and just trying to make you feel smaller than what you really are, right? That control piece. We also have the social media, right? The stalking. That's something that's huge, especially with our young people. We have, and domestic violence isn't just between a husband and a wife or a boyfriend and a girlfriend. I've had clients where they were being abused by their parents, and not always physical, like what we were just saying, right? It could be emotional abuse. Like I had one client that suffered from, she had brain injury, right? She had a TBI. So her mom would make her think that she wasn't making right decisions, or, you need me, you have to stay here with me, you can't live on your own. So that's a type of abuse. Yeah, so you got the emotional, the physical, you have the financial, you have the stalking and the social media now. So yeah, that's pretty much most of them. And I'm sure there's more to be added because it's forever changing, right? It's never the same. And I tell people all the time, I heard you say I was an expert. A lot of pressure, but I'm always learning. Like there's so much room for growth, right? And when you get to that point where you feel as though you arrived, you're setting yourself up, right? You're really setting yourself up. So I'm really open to learn. Like I'm taking an intensive course next month, and it's for prolonged PTSD. So that's going to be very intense, and I'm so excited about it because everything that we're going through now with the pandemic, so many people have suffered from that, and trauma looks different to everybody, and that's what I try to make sure that people understand. Don't try to measure your trauma up with someone else's. It may look the same, but it's not the same, and also letting them know that trauma is what happened to you. It's not who you are. It's really not who you are. So especially with domestic violence, just allowing them to see what it is, what it looks like. Because most people that's in it, they don't know they wouldn't label it as abuse. But once they come in, and we have this thing, it's called a power wheel. So it shows what it looks like. And once they go over that wheel, they like, wow, I've experienced that, right? So just letting people know what it looks like, and reassuring them that it had nothing to do, it's nothing that they could have done or not done to make that other person treat them in that way. So just making sure that they know that they really do have the power to control what's going on in their lives.
That's so good. I remind everybody, Kiana and I take our notes. Make sure you take your notes. My notepad already has 5 things on it. Tag someone, share this, repost it, follow us, and subscribe on YouTube. And then let us know, drop down what you think should be added to this world of abuse. I'm going to add one. I think that spiritual abuse is, I would like to add. My, we had a child together. He was much further in his faith. He was ordained in his faith, and he would whip me with the word. Wrong things to me, and then he would come back and whip me with the word. And I remember one day being in prayer, like, God, I can't get it right, and I can't get it right. And God was like, this is like slavery. This is no different than what's happening to the slaves when they couldn't read, and the master was reading the Bible and damning them. He's like, this is not me, this is him. And so I'm going to drop that one in, spiritual abuse. I think that's a thing. Y'all, if you guys drop in, what kind of abuses or other categories of abuse do you think should be added to this topic in this conversation?
That's great. That's good. I like that. And that's really huge. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying that's really good. Definitely put that in there.
Yeah, and I see it, right? I see it, and it's so hidden, right? And I thank God for discernment, and I thank him, because this is truly a gift, right? Just being able to see what people aren't saying. And I know the slogan is break the silence. And we really do need to talk about these things, especially in the church, right? Because it's not talked about, because they don't want people to believe that it's happening, but it's there. It's there. And these women and men, I know this Women's Month, and we, looking out for the women, but we have a lot of men that have suffered from domestic violence as well. So we don't want to negate or minimize their shame as well. But because, women are more, we're the strong ones, right? We have to wear that mask all the time, especially when you're in settings as the church, because, we're supposed to look good. We're supposed to talk a certain way. And, it's a big thing about divorce for married people. I see it a lot with couples, because it's like, well, God wants us married, but I'm like, God didn't make you to be a doormat. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. So you need to walk in that. And that comes with knowing who you are and who you belong to. Because without that, we're lost. So it takes for people, not just therapists, but we have spiritual leaders, right? Even trying to train them on what it looks like, because most people don't know what it looks like. It doesn't look like how we look right now, right? We all dressed up and we got well, y'all got your makeup on, looking beautiful.
I got on lip gloss. I'm actually, well, this dressed up for me. I'm real comfortable. I got on my happy hoodie. I figure, we're gonna talk about
yes, you're
something.
beautiful.
I was going I'm gonna just keep looking down. Y'all can look and see and say happy, right? We happy. We're gonna talk about it. But because, like you said, it needs to be talked about. The silence needs to be broken. Men, women, children, whoever you are that are going through it. So many people sit because they feel shame, like you said, the shame, embarrassed that is happening, but you gotta talk about it. So Tori said earlier, like, she shared hers. Everybody already know I ain't completely like, I be like, I ain't ready, y'all, because I'm gonna be just bust out crying on the stage. So when I can when I can get through like a whole little season about whatever, then I can go ahead and speak to y'all about it. But until then, I'm gonna keep journaling, and y'all can catch it in the book. And something that will be in there, what Crystal talked about, is divorce. And so I have a couple I'm gonna lead into the question that's been on my mind to ask. But one of the things what Tori brought up about the different kinds of abuse. So make sure, guys, share if there are other ones out there. We said spiritual, we said emotional, financial. I actually learned about the different kinds coming out the first situation. And one of my colleagues' mother, I don't know if necessarily she was a counselor, but I know she was like working in like a center, the women's center or something, like volunteering. And I'm like one of those people. I think at one point I felt like I used to share too much. Now I might not, tell you everything that happened, but if I feel like you're a friend and you're in my circle, you're going to know something. I might not give all details because, again, sometimes things are sensitive, and then later your family might still be speaking to that person, right? And so you don't need to get down in the gritty, but just know things may not be right. So she shared this paper with me, and I started reading through it, and I'm like, financial, mental, like what? Like you have no idea. And like you said, until you start showing the people and you're like, oh my goodness, that's what they were doing. Oh my goodness, that's what that was. And so you become enlightened. You then begin to notice it yourself more before you get too deep in it the next time, but it might show up different. Right. So you need to be able to identify what you're in. So looking at that, what are some, maybe about 3, I'm sure there's a lot and you can share more, but I was thinking, I don't know, 3, please 3, but what are about maybe 3 signs that you are in a abusive relationship? Like, what are some things that people can look for to know, like you said, that they are in an abusive relationship?
Okay. So some of the signs are definitely control. That's huge. Like the control thing, like trying to control where you go, who your friends are, trying to control your money. Even if you do work, it's like, bring the money home first. I'll give you what you need to have, right? So that type of control. Intimidation. Like, if you ever leave me, this is what'll happen, right? Threaten and harm your family, or something as subtle as, I don't like what you got on today. Where are you going with that on? Just as simple as your clothing. And these are all triggers, right? You really need to know what it looks like, because without that, you're thinking, oh, that's cute. He worried about where I'm going. He don't like this top. Let me put on something else, right? He loves me. He don't.
I was going to say, girl, he loved me. He'd be so mad. He can't stand when I be talking to other people. No, get out. No.
And it definitely shows up. It's just a matter of how it shows up. And like you said, it looks different to different people. But what I've learned is that most abusers are very charming, very subtle, very soft-spoken at times, so you really got to know. It's just something that you have to know. And I believe, from my own experiences and from talking to others, like, you really do know, like, something's not right about this. Like, this isn't cute anymore. So just paying attention, recognizing the signs and calling it out for what it is, right? So yeah, that would definitely be some of the signs that I would tell you to look out for.
I love that. It sounded like you said Scorpio, very Scorpio. That was one of the signs you said. Very Cancer. Is that what you said? Or maybe I just heard that. Anywho,
Oh, not those signs. We're not.
Not
Okay,
those signs.
we're not. Okay, I thought we was calling out the actual signs that.
darn.
Not those.
But anywho, as I digress, so domestic violence definitely wasn't something that many of us were taught or told about or discussed growing up. It's funny because I used to love me a toxic man, just growing always like the dope dealer. I like the dude with the big cars and all of that. And if he wasn't snatching me up, he didn't love me, that thing. So when you guys
That's real.
I thought it was, it was real. And I, I've been through series of counseling, and much like you guys, as a professional, you go through these developments. It's like, oh, that wasn't right. So when he was snatching me by my neck on the avenue, he shouldn't have been doing that. So I look at those experiences and I try to translate it to my child. My child is 13. At that place and stage where he's starting to want to date. The rule in my house is there are no serious relationships until you are older. So he date, right? By 15, he should be dating, having multiple little friends, whatever. We're not committing to just one person. That's the rule in my house. Okay. And whoever don't like it, that's fine. Drop your parenting advice in the but I have some reasons this is not the show for that. But I do have some topics. We can talk about it offline. Why is it important for us to discuss domestic violence with our children before they become of dating age, boys and girls? Like, what is it that we're trying to avoid down the line?
Okay, that's a great question. And I think a lot of parents try to not talk about it, thinking that it won't happen. It's the same thing like suicide. They think if you mention suicide, oh, they're going to go try it. And it's the total opposite, right? Information, to be informed is the best knowledge you can ever have, right? So if you're teaching your children, like, these are the things that you need to look out for, right? And it's so, oh my goodness, it's so sad because as you said, I work with young people, right? You love them dearly, but sometimes they could be so clueless, especially our young girls, because they're searching, and depending on whether or not they had a father in their life to show them what real love looks like, right? So I think it's very important that you do talk about these things with your children, because if they don't know, they're going to learn the wrong way. And I know one of the organizations that I volunteer for, we go into the schools and we talk to the young men and ladies, because I've seen girls grip up guys too. So it's not just one-sided, but I think they really do need to know what it looks like, just like we need to know what it looks like and what you should not do and what you should do, right? And how to ask for help when that time comes. So yeah, it's very important that you tell them what it's all about and be real, be honest, because young people can see right through you.
They see straight through you. When you're saying that, and Tori had an opportunity. Well, she taught at Weston, but we had a chance to teach together at a school in Baltimore County. I've taught high school. I had a chance to teach middle school, and you see it. Yeah. And so it's very interesting to see that in young people. One, because if you've had certain experience, I experienced it as early as high school, right? And so watching, but you're right. Even now, it's the girls, the girls, whether it's the girls with girlfriends, like you would see some of it. And I was like, so why are you putting your hands on him? And so again, that thing where who knows what she saw. And so just, bring them right in. Y'all come in here. Let's have a conversation. Yeah. What's going on? It's not fair for you to put your hands on him and then expect him not to put his hands back on you. You started it. And so we would have that conversation. I said, girl, because I'm gonna call on you, and now you both will get locked up. Like, don't think so you have to be real and have those conversations, because I've seen it and I've watched young ladies and young men, in high school, and I'm looking at them and like, okay, so who the boyfriend? And you hear and watching it go on, and you pulling them aside and having those conversations with them. So it is very important. I don't know that there's any age. I mean, once they start talking and they can recognize what's going on, they start asking you questions and they can talk. Yeah. It's time to start having conversations at their levels. That's just what I believe across the board, right?
Absolutely.
Because I think, one of the things we can add in that is sexual abuse. If we said that, but sexual abuse is also an abuse. And, it made me think about that because I started talking to my kids about that topic early on and having those real conversations. And so bringing those things together, if you don't talk about it, they're going to learn, they might learn the wrong way, right? So don't ever think you shouldn't bring it up to your kids. But then on that, topic like that, okay, you've been in relationships, you're watching it, you see people go in and out. We'll get down the road talking about the PTSD and some of the other things where people stay in those situations. But if you're really trying to get past it and say the person does get help, and we can talk about what help may look like, can people restore? Is there real restoration after domestic violence?
Yes. And that's why I love, when you said navigating, because it's definitely like it's turns, right? It's not just a straight thing. It's a process that you have to go through. And it's like one of those processes where you can't skip a process. Like you really got to give yourself time and grace, because most times this is years of stuff, right? This is years of stuff that has built up. And sometimes it's like you said, from one relationship to another abusive relationship. So learning how to identify how you can navigate through it. Like, wait a minute, I remember what that looked like and I didn't like it, right? So, and being honest with yourself. So being able to navigate is getting resources, finding out what your resources are. And the worst, and when you talked about earlier about those people that think they know, like telling you how to do it. If I was you, I would, but you're not. So stop giving people advice, because domestic violence, the worst thing ever is trying to leave. That's the most dangerous point in a domestic violence relationship. So even in our counseling, we never say, oh, you need to leave. We never say that. No matter how bad it is, we tell them, we try to restore their power, like letting them know that you do have power to make your own decisions, but there's necessary steps that you have to take. So that comes with, we teach them how to set up for leaving, right? So that means getting all of your identification, making sure that you have your keys, making sure that you have money, and making sure that you have somewhere to go, a safe place. So making sure that they have all of those things set up before they leave, because we've had clients that have lost their lives trying to leave because, somebody said, oh, just get out, so making sure that you don't tell people to just leave. Okay, you're telling them to leave, but are you giving them the necessary steps to take to do that? And if you're not doing that, you're putting them in harm's way, right? So making sure, and never talk about the abuser to the abusee, because they're still in love, right? They're still trying to figure this thing out. So while you doing that, you're also taking their control, because you're telling them how they should feel. So never tell them that the abuser is horrible, or he doesn't deserve you or she doesn't deserve you. That's the worst thing that you could ever do too, because the one thing about DV again is control, is power and control. So if you're telling them what they should be doing, now you're the controller, right? So what makes you different from the abuser versus the physical, maybe, right? Or being right there with them. So you really have, it's a very sensitive topic. And that's why I think people, and that's why it gives me joy to educate people, because I didn't always know, right? So being able, and I don't know everything, I don't know all of it, because every situation is different, right? You might say, oh, I saw that before. No, it's totally different. Everybody's situation is different. So when you go in on a situation, just look at it as unique. This is the first time I've seen this. This is the first time I heard that, right? And making them feel like I'm here for you. What can I do to help you?
That is,
you telling them what to do.
listen, we just want to give just a round of applause for that. That is so, so good. I mean, we strive on the Connected Corner to give news and resources someone can actually use. Like, leave here and apply. And I'm listening to you and I'm like, wow, that's so good. Because again, everybody wants to psychoanalyze everybody, but you can't. Let the professionals be the professionals. But these are still great tips that you've given. That some of the things I just want to recap that you said are advices for people who are trying to leave a toxic relationship. Be prepared. Have a safe start to save, get copies of your identification. That
Mhm.
is huge. I'm telling you. Matter of fact, the year I graduated, 2002, a movie came out with Jennifer Lopez. It was
Oh
called
my goodness, yes. Mhm.
Enough. If you all have not seen it, it's such, well, first of all, it's triggering. And so I graduated that year. I saw that movie that summer and I cried because as a child trying to get out of a domestic violence situation, I was so unempowered. But
Mhm.
I watched her go through exactly what you just said, those steps of
Mhm.
saving money and being strategic and getting a weapon and also going to defense classes and
Yeah.
building her
Mhm.
confidence, being prepared. So I just think that's huge. And it's something you said, it's almost like you're reading our questions, but no worries, no worries. How important it is for someone to get counseling or therapy after a traumatic relationship like that. Like it's huge because what you said was they will power share. Or it's almost like taking the, you become then sometimes the
Yeah.
now in the abusive controlling
Yes. Role.
situation. Yes.
Mhm.
Tell
Mhm.
us a little bit more about that. How can, I love to help people. I've moved people in my house. My family used to say, girl, she just always bringing home strays. Want to help.
Mhm.
Hopefully no one's offended. They weren't calling you a stray. They were talking about me. But I mean, it's been so many people at this point. Everybody like, is she talking about me? Probably. And so in a traumatic situation, I found myself hurting that person, enabling them more than helping them. So help us just understand a little more. How important is it if you're helping that person get free to get them to the professionals?
Yes. Yes. So I'm that one, right? You just want to fix it, right? But you can't fix it. They have to want it for themselves. And the best help that you can be is being the listener. Like I hear you, I'm listening, giving them those tools that they need. Because if you're giving them the tool and you're not showing them how to use it, it's no good to them, right? So they're going to always be leaning on you for help. So if you give them what they need and show them how to use it, they're at the advantage now. Now they have control over their situation. So you can't be that crutch. You can't be that enabler because you're really not helping them. And I know, especially for someone that you love and you just want them out, you want them safe, you know they don't deserve it. But if they don't know it for themselves, or if they can't believe that they can get out, then you controlling that situation is, again, you being the abuser as well, but it looks different.
Wow. And I've seen that, personally, just in relationships around where I know even with women and they've come out of a relationship one way or another, and then getting to the next relationship, marriage or, long-term relationship, and then the woman becomes then the abuser
Mm,
to in that relationship, right? Because some of it, like you said, it's the triggers, it's the trauma, and never getting help from that previous relationship. It a little bit wasn't where I was going, but when you talked about before about the prolonged PTSD,
mhm.
it made me think about that. Like people who go from one, or then you went from being the abused to the abuser. That's the prolonged, PTSD. One of the other things I thought about when you said that was grief. Like, so grief being prolonged, like, is grief also like it's trauma? Of
Yeah.
course, we experience trauma, but
Mhm.
I guess sometimes people never think like you can have PTSD from having so much loss.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because a loss, even divorce is a loss, right? Divorce is that's like a death. You lost someone that you love. You had a loved one. So yeah, so just knowing and allowing that person that space, right? Because people heal differently, right? Their trauma is different from you. People don't grieve the same. Grief is different. Yeah, we have the steps, but it doesn't mean that everybody goes through the steps it's the same way, right? So just
Mhm.
allowing people that space to grieve however they need to grieve, allowing that person that space to go through that trauma experience. So because sometimes we have what we call the trauma where it happened, but now you're avoiding it. So you avoid those places, you avoid those people that connect you with that trauma, right? So the brain is a powerful thing. So we begin to reject those things that we really need to face. So that's what we call those fearless conversations, and facing your fears head on, right? And the worst thing you can do is pushing somebody into that. Like you said, Kiana, you're not ready right now to talk about your trauma, and it's okay. But when you're ready to talk about, that's your healing process. It took me years. I was telling Tori, it took me years to talk about, but once that's a coping skill, because when you talk about it, even if it's with a therapist or if it's with a friend that you trust, like you said, Kiana, just having that person that you can talk to, because it really does help, right? And it's like that reach one, teach one, right? So it's so much that I'm giving out this information, and hopefully someone is getting something where they can take it to someone else and they'll know what it looks like. Somebody can be right next to you. They're not going to have DV written across their face. They're not going to say, oh, I'm hurting, but just knowing what those signs are and what it looks like. And don't be saying, oh, you being abused. No, don't do that. Just say, hi, how are you? How can I help you? What it looks like, you're sad. What is it that I can do for you? Just making it, creating that safe space where they can talk to you. And if they don't want to talk to you, give them a resource to where they can talk up to somebody else about it, because it's so important, because it's real, and it's out here.
I think that was important, just definitely what you were saying about the divorce and grief. And I'd say that to people sometimes, because going through my first divorce, because I had children, we went through those classes. My children and I went through the classes where they talk about that, the classes where they teach them that it wasn't their fault. Because goodness, 3, 5, and 9 or 3, 5, 9, 10, something like that. Well, they all adults now, young adults. So, but even having that, doing those classes for a few months, and especially the little ones, like they would repeat, like talk about it. Like I knew that they learned from that. So that was important. So people, you can't just come out of these situations and be like, all right, I got out, and just think you're just going to continue to walk through life, you or your children. And it will start to show up if you don't address it. And so even after that, they all counseling, what you need to write a letter, because you're not going to send me a therapy bill at 30. And I used to tell them that all the time. You're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. You're not sending me no therapy bills at 30 saying it was my fault. Okay. We're not doing that. So from day one, we're going through the counselings that they, recommended for them through the divorce. Once they get in school, what you need to write a letter. Okay, we're gonna, it's important. And so making your children even comfortable with those things is important.
And like you said, letting them know that it's not your fault. These are things that happen, but it's not who you are, and you can recover. There is recovery, right? And because we really are stronger than we give ourselves credit for. So once you go through those experiences and you're like, I made it through though, I'm still here, I'm able to talk about it, that shows great strength right there. So just letting them know that you do have strength, you're strong. Yes, these things happen, but you're still here, you're still moving, right? And like you said, that prolonged thing, right? Because it's like, you may be good one day. It could be a smell, it could be a touch, it could be
a song,
a sound. It could
the whole Mary J. My Life album in India.
A movie. You're sitting there like, why am I crying? And it's just like, wow, and although she got paid for hers, but it happened. And this is somebody's story, right? And something that you can relate to. Is relatable. So just recognizing what those triggers are and trying not to avoid it, because it's just like pouring water in a cup. You can't take but so much. And that's how our body is. We can only take so much, and eventually it's going to shut down, or it's going to come out in an unhealthy way, right? And that's when you have these teens that are becoming promiscuous and doing things that they shouldn't be doing, right? Because they're hurting and they don't know how to tell somebody that I'm hurting because this happened to me. So yeah, just reassuring people that it's not your fault. It really isn't your fault. And there is life after trauma.
You are hitting so many nails on the head. Somebody write that in the comments. Hopefully you guys are taking notes. There is life after trauma. I tell you, I was having a psychoneurological reaction that I could not understand. Like, I would listen to talk radio and be physically nauseous all the time. Like, why? And I'm a history person. I'm a history teacher. I love history. Like, why can't I listen? I can watch a documentary, but if I hear a talk radio show, I'm nauseous. And
Mm,
it was in a counseling session that I had. That it was discovered I had like regressed, and I suppressed this emotion and this memory. My father would listen to these talk radio
mm,
stations. And so when I would think about the abuse or hear that, it would bring this nauseated feeling,
mm,
take me back to being this 11, 12-year-old little girl. And, having to, get myself up off the floor after being kicked, punched. And there's this talk radio station in the background. And so it's one of those things where you say you don't even understand what you're retaining. You,
mhm.
I know people sounds like Kiana said, music can trigger certain things, but we have a responsibility to get to know ourselves, right?
Yes,
When we
absolutely.
having those responses, or if it's somebody you don't like, and it's like, what is it about this woman? I just don't
Mm,
buffets me or whatever. Like, really unpack it. I had a supervisor who was horrible to me years and years ago, and eventually she said, "You know what? You remind me of the woman my husband cheated with."
mm.
She said, "It's not that y'all look alike." She said, "It's your spirit. It's how you talk. It's how you walk. It's how you dress. It's what you." I was wearing Gucci, the perfume at the time, the gold one. I smelled like the lady.
Oh, my. Mm,
So she was so hurt by betrayal. She was horrible to me. But it took her years to come back. We were peers by the time I was,
mm.
at the same level, when she finally said, "I am so sorry. It was never you. It was what you represented. It was smelling you and remembering that smell on my husband."
Wow, that's huge.
They almost got beat up. No. And
For
so
real.
tell us, what are and I think you've touched this, but I want to just see if you can go back for us. What are the long-term effects of suffering in silence?
Mm. Most time it comes out in your body, right? It's more physical. So you talk about headaches, right? Depression, oppression, right? Some people have anxiety. Um, it definitely shows up in your body. You have, for me, it was like heart problems. I had a stroke and a heart attack. From the stressors. Because I'm the rock. I'm the strong one. So I have to walk in that role, but it wasn't a role that I chose. It was something that someone placed on me, but I chose to walk in it. And it wasn't for me to carry. And when I say cast my cares, sitting at the feet of Jesus right now, that's what I do. Because it's not, your body can't take that. Your body wasn't built for that. So it does show up in a physical sense, right? So any type of stress shows up in your physical body. Your body says so much about the things that you've experienced. And even like you said, I do this thing called the baggage exercise. So people don't know, like they don't know why they're feeling the way that they're feeling, right? But and like you said, it took that young lady years. So the baggage exercises start off with small bags. And when you get to the biggest bag, which is the trunk, that's that thing that's in that basement or up in the attic with the lock on it and the cobwebs that think these are secrets that you have hidden for so long, hoping that no one ever finds out. So you're carrying all this stuff throughout your life. And most times what we find is the root cause happens in your childhood. So being able to talk, that's why it's so important to talk these things out, because you're carrying stuff and you don't remember until those triggers come, like a smell, a song, a talk show. Like who would think, and you're sitting there like, what is this? And until you talk about these things, that's the only way you're going to find out and start walking in your healing into your wholeness.
Wow. I'm look, whoever was about 5 minutes ago, my whole face, I was like, Kiana, y'all on camera. I was like, I was all the way in the screen. Like I was like, okay, pull back because you just, I might not have said nothing, but all of that said everything. Because Tori did it too. Like she co-signed because she was like, we both was like, what? Because I say that all the time. That's why she looked like that. I felt her because stress shows up in my body. Like I will be going on. I literally right now I'm doing physical therapy from a car accident, but it might be like the third car accident I've had, or maybe third as an adult or something like that, second. But every time when I do go to physical therapy and I'm in it, they'll say, "What do you do? What do you do for a living? Like what's going on in your life?" Because I'll go on Monday to get readjusted. By the time I'll go 2 days later, the other say, when was your last one? I said 2 days ago. 2 days ago. Because I am constantly needing, like literally they tell me I'm somebody that I should probably get a massage, go to physical therapy at minimum once a month or twice a month, minimum. And so some of that is my profession, not just the, teaching. Actually, probably teaching was way less stressful than finance and accounting and it's tax season and all this other stuff. And so that, that was my main. I probably did about half, a little more of the finance. I taught over the years, maybe about 8, 9, 10 years teaching, but the rest have been in finance and accounting. And so just my profession alone, and people would say, well, it's almost like you can't be stressed. It's no way to not be stressed in what I do. And believe me, look, I have, when I met, I would do all kinds of stuff. I have smiley faces. There's in my offices, I run in water. I mean, I would just do so many things to try to help because it's almost impossible to not feel stress just because of the nature of the job. And you are the person that the other 40, 50, how many people in office are always coming to. You're the person. So it's really hard in that. So then you couple if you got personal stuff. So I have personal stuff and everybody on the job getting on my nerves too. And I'm dealing with, in these things at home. So I had a stroke at 39.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, that was coming out of the second marriage. And then I was like, that's it. Set my kids down to it. I mean, everybody. And it's like, nope, I can't. Nope. Nope. But then it wasn't completely healthy how I responded to it once, I healed from it. So now I've been since then working on that positive, like you said, at the footage is like really growing in that. So that's important. Really.
Wow, it really is. It really is.
She dumped me as a client. When she said she didn't approach it healthily, which she said, she cut everybody off. The answer was no. It wasn't no. It wasn't a gentle no. It was a hell no. She started dumping us as
That's
clients.
good. That's good.
I love y'all, but I don't like you. Get your butt away from me. But I'm gonna tell you, when you say walking in your healing, I have watched. We're 7 years later now since Kiana had her stroke, and I have watched Kiana walk through her healing and make her way back to her center, right? And so know that she's going to continue to get to that place where she's navigating, and the no won't cut your head off when she says, and it won't feel so erratic, but it was what she needed to do. And so why did I stop you guys? I stopped you to say, whoever is listening who may say, well, dang, Tori, I'm about to just cut everybody off. Listen, you do what you have to do for the next 7 years. Those of us that you may offend or might have soft feelings, we will get over it because we love you. And we would rather come to your birthday parties, themed all of October birthday parties.
Don't do that. She throwing shade now, Crystal.
We would rather come to your birthday parties than any day. And so understand that sometimes it might not be the best approach, especially if you be like, nope, I'm cutting everything I go. But if it's what you have to do for you, love you enough to deal with whatever you have to do. And so I've watched, Kiana's my cousin. I have the awesome opportunity of watching her grow. And over the 7 years, she's getting herself in her vein where it's like, nah, I think I'm not going to do that. Where before it would be like, did she just ask me to do something? But it was her response to establishing those boundaries.
And that's good. Like I really had to learn how to say no. I remember one of my professors, she was like, Crystal, you say no, but you say no, but no, maybe tomorrow, or I can't do it right now, but no. So now my no is no, no, period, no. And they be looking, waiting for the rest. And I'm like, nope, can't do it. Because when you laid up in the hospital, it's like, who's there for you? So you have to choose you. You have to choose you. And it's not being selfish. I think that's a culture thing, right? We made selfish being a bad thing. Selfish means taking care of self. So if you don't take care of you, how can you expect anybody else to do it? You can't. It's impossible. So you have to choose you first. And I like birthday parties. I don't like funerals.
Well, you can come to mine, and you can come to mine. I'm working on I'm working on the 47 theme, but yeah, I like themes.
Okay, remember this being recorded,
right? Oh yeah, I like that. Who said remember this being recorded? Because if I don't get the invitation, I'm gonna go back to March 15th, 2022, episode 2022-06, and
That's
you
right.
said that I could come to your party.
That's what you said.
Wow, you guys, we have a few more minutes left, and I know you guys, we do key questions, so that's like, we have a segment, and it's speed round, right? And
Oh,
so
goodness. Oh, I saw this.
you saw. Look, don't be too nervous. And so we are going to also drop, everybody, your Connected Corner family, we put the questions down in the comments too, so you can answer as we go along. So we had such a great time. I don't know, but we did. Because I think talking about these things, understanding it helps people, hey, yeah, we're talking about domestic violence, we're talking about trauma, we're talking about PTSD, but we're still laughing and joking because that is also a part of healing, right?
Yes,
part of that. So,
mm-hmm.
But again, make sure you guys have taken the notes. Make sure you subscribe. Let us know where you're watching from, and you can go back. If you're just coming in, you can go back and watch it. You can still share it for somebody in your life that may need this information. We're bringing you news and resources you can use. So share it with somebody that you think that it can help them as well. So I'm going to do 2 questions. I'm not going to do all 3 since we've taken privilege earlier with all the women's history stuff. So I'll do 2 instead of the 3, and you'll still have. Oh, look, I didn't turn it up now. It's like we're gonna let it run down a little bit. But I'll do 2 of the 3, and you'll have the 2 minutes to answer the questions. Well, it'll be more like 1.5 when I turn it back over. You have 1.5. All right, so I'm going to start with the first question, you guys. Make sure you're ready. So the first question, and I'll flip it over, is what does self-love mean to you?
Oh, self-love means loving myself, knowing that I am enough.
Wow, I like that. And the second question is, how would you calm down your significant other if they came home from work upset about something?
I would, oh, wow. I would say, how was your day? Looks like you're upset. What can I do to make your night better?
Look. I know that's right. Y'all hear that? That was some good advice. That was some good mental, social, and relationship advice.
No, what's wrong with you? Why you come in here like that? No, what can I do that make you feel better?
I know that's right. Crystal just helped y'all out right there. Okay. And she still got time left. Yeah. Okay. Just want to let y'all know. I like that one. Yay.
Yeah.
So guys, make sure you can still answer if you're catching it on a replay. We still want to know. You can answer the key question segment. And so we have just enjoyed having you. You can tell your passion, your love for it, and just let people know, how they can get in touch with you. We know you're, getting started in your own way, your own vein. So let the audience know how they can reach out to you.
Okay, so you can email me at beyond therapy beyond is therapybeyond17 at gmail.com, and my phone number is 267-903-6315. I'll be trying not to give out my personal number. So it's 267-903-6315. therapybeyond17@gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Crystal, so much.
Well, thank you for
Oh,
having me. This was fun.
no worries, girl. So once you're connected, you're always connected. So if there's anything that we can do to help you, we may even call you to come back. We might call you for anything, girl, because let me tell you, we believe that we are only as thick as only as the resources that we have and the
Yes.
that we share. So you're
Definitely.
the beehive. Don't worry about it. My name is Tori Rose. You guys can find me on social media. You can find me on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter a little bit as Tori Rose the Connector. Make sure if you have not completed your 2022 spring intake form to get yourself pivoted in your career. Let's have these conversations. Let's go from just surviving to thriving. You just
Yes.
deserve it. Oh, and I'm gonna say this one last thing. I'm sorry before Kiana tells us where to find her. I need to correct something. Somebody caught me on the carpet earlier. I posted something earlier, said that you're not a tree. You're not, you can get up and move and you don't have to stay at a job that is not serving you and all of this. And one of my mentees from 2 or 3 years ago, she said, but you told me I was a palm tree. Damn. Palm trees are resilient.
Yes.
Bend, we don't break. It's very different. I had to explain to her. I said, and guess what? Because palm trees are resilient, we can uproot them, move them, and they will thrive in a better environment. So I'm going to share that for anybody who's like, wait a minute, this is not along what she said last year women's conference. So she called us palm trees. And so I'm just throwing that out to say that while, these are analogies, at the end of the day, I don't care if you consider yourself a tree, a plant, bamboo. What I want you to be is not like that fig tree that was not producing fruit.
That's right.
Today, we are here to produce fruit.
Yes.
Want to make sure that we're giving you news and resources you can use. Kiana has a business. I have a business. Crystal has a business. 3 different areas of your life that will build towards your holistic well-being. So please get connected.
Yes.
All I have to say. Keep, where can we find you?
Oh, wonderful. You can find me on all social media platforms as Kiana B, as in B Jones. I was ready to say at gmail.com. That is not. I was thinking about Kiana B at Kiana B Jones, not Kiana B Jones. No, but if you do want to email me for business, then yeah. Yeah, you can find me on all social media platforms at Kiana B Jones. And Tori, we can drop your email down in the comments too.
You can email me at connect2Tori@gmail.com. I am excited because I've been my own email. Normally I have an assistant that does that. And so for these emails, these are extremely personal for me because what I recognize is there's so much trauma in how we even approach careers and jobs and how we make professional decisions that way. So guys, if you're worried like, oh, I'm not going to get her, no, you're going to actually get me. So email me at connect2Tori@gmail.com. I would love to take you on as a client, get in this intake while the season is open. Also find us at Connected Corner, The Connected Corner on YouTube, The Connected Corner on Facebook and Instagram. And if you're interested in being a part of the show, a guest on the show, you got a business you want to talk about, what you got going on, email us at bcg.manage@gmail.com. So we know that was a lot of information. We'll put it in. Thank you guys for checking us out. This has been the Connected Corner. We love you. It's an amazing Tuesday. See you next week. Same place, same time. Be fine. Peace.
Peace. Hey.